My name is Angela Mayfield. I'm the 2019 president for the Kanawha Valley Board of Realtors. In 1919, a small group of businessmen formed what was known as the Charleston Board of Realtors. As our service areas expanded, our name changed to the Kanawha Valley Board of Realtors in 1964. This is our story.
David Thalheimer, licensed in 1973. In the 1970s, inflation hit and was going at a rate of roughly 1.5% a month or 18% a year. So if you bought a piece of property in January, it was worth almost 20% more in December. In the 60s, Cross Lanes started to be developed because that's where the next closest flat land was. And in the 70s, when interest rates went up to 18%, all of a sudden, people began to discover that there was more flat land that they could develop, and it was in Putnam County. Roger Monk built a house on Smith Road and sold it for the grand sum of $150,000, which was the biggest price anybody had pulled for something that wasn't on Kanawha River. And all of a sudden, people realized, as did Roger, that instead of trying to buy the next largest car to show how well one might be doing at the time, perhaps a larger house.
Bill Dawson. I have been a member of the Kanawha Valley Board since 1976, 64, pardon me. 1976, I was president of the board. They'd have these cards with perforated parts, and each agent was given a box, and they'd have their cards, but they were given what amounted to be a long darning needle type thing. And there was keyed, the holes were keyed so that you could punch out what you needed as far as bedrooms and locations, and even to the point of schools. And you would push this darning needle into the key that you had also with you. It was unusually fine bit of camaraderie between them, because all those gentlemen you talked about, they were also friends. The Pittmans and Steve Fisher, then there would be Calvert Estel, Paul Greenlee. Greenlees were the first ones to be kind of innovative, to have multiple offices and to go in different parts of the county. Starting in the 80s and on into the early 90s is when we started having some interaction between towns like Charleston and Beckley and Parkersburg and Huntington and such. And we never had any kind of a joint movement, but they did start to have a mixture of real estate and some brokerage.
I started in 1950, and I'm still working, taking care of their housing needs. And I was president of the Charleston Board of Realtors and the first president of the Kanawha Valley Board of Realtors in 1964. This was also the year that we had the public hearings for the interstate coming through Charleston. Okay. And so I represented the Board of Realtors at those hearings and encouraged that the interstate be brought directly through town. Tommy Orr, who had Old Colony, was active, and also Joe Beatty and Malcolm Firth, Beatty Firth, and this was before Dobbins, Fisher, and Pittman left Old Colony and and form their own business.
My name is Mary Brown, and I have been in real estate since 1973. That's when I first got my license, and that was through Sam Mayberry. I knew that I wanted to work closer home, so I went to Jim Darby with Cross Lanes Realty, and there I asked him about being a salesperson for him. And he said, well, you know, we don't have any women here other than the secretary and my wife doing part-time. And I said, I know that, but I said, I'll do you a good job. And he said, well, I know you probably would, but however, he said, I will have to think on this. So I said, okay. And he said, how about going down to Tays Valley to Miriam Parson, who was with Old Colony, and she was the office manager. And I said, I don't want to go to Tays Valley. I said, I'll be back next week. So I would go back next week. He was still thinking about it. He was afraid his men would quit, and they were good producers. So I went back for the third time, and he said, I'll hire you. But I said, he said, you could only be a floater. And I said, I'll take it. I wanted to be president of the Kanawha Valley Board. So I participated in being director for many years. I don't know how many years that would be, I don't recall. But in then '93, I became president of the Kanawha Valley Board of Realtors. After that, I decided I even wanted to go higher. So I was director at the State Association for several years. And then in '01, I was president of the State Association. And then in '02 and '03, I was a national director. Well, I think they found out that women associates with the woman buying the house. Women buy the house as long as the house is in the good school area, it is in their budget. The man is happy if the woman is happy with that house. And I think that a woman relates to the other woman, and she picks up easily. And they soon found out that women was selling more than the men.
So here was a new concept, a long-range plan. We just weren't going to work by the seat of our pants anymore. Our board was going to start thinking about where are we going and what are we going to do and how are we going to get there and what's the end result. The board of directors of Old Colony Company spent the bigger part of one whole afternoon talking about fax machines and how much they were going to cost and how would we use them, and was it just a passing fad? Well, lo and behold, it was going to cost $500, a lot of money. But after the discussion was somewhat half over, somebody mentioned the fact that, well, Home Finders was considering having a fax machine too. Well, they were one of our good competitors and one of the folks that we really relied on to sell a lot of our listings, and we sold a lot of their listings, and they were mighty fine people, and we had a lot of respect for that organization. So somebody said, well, if Home Finders is going to get a fax machine, we better get one too. So that is what created the fax machine in Old Colony Company, and we were $500 light after that. Home Finders had some very good associates, and some of the leaders of that organization were Phil Silverstein, for one. Phil was a World War II veteran, had seen combat in Europe, and he was slated, by the way, to become a pilot in World War II and was pulled out of that program along with the whole organization he was involved with to go into the infantry, because they were people that were educated and that kind of thing in the pilot program, the air program, and they wanted to get them into the infantry because there was too many poor people being killed and no people that were not poor or was not educated into. But anyway, Phil had returned back from World War II and got into the business. And I don't know how he and John Gilligan got together, but they were very capable and interested people. The board had an awful lot to do with bringing people together and making the industry collegial and successful. And consequently, individuals became successful. And so it could be a lot of fun as well as financially rewarding. And you got an awful lot of sense of liking to go to work. There were no branch offices when I first started. And of course, none of the lenders would come out to the 25 miles to Tays Valley from Charleston to take a loan application. So it was up to me or any other realtor who wrote a contract to come to Charleston to bring the contract to the lender and to the attorney's office and that kind of thing.
My name is Megan Callahan Bailey. I am a millennial realtor. I grew up in an era where I've never not known about the internet. So when I got into real estate, we had a lot more advances technologically than ever before for our board and for each individual agent. I got in the business and they had just replaced all of our lock boxes to the Supra Bluetooth top-of-the-line lock boxes. We can access those through all of our smartphones, which is really amazing compared to where we started, which I just recently found out what an old lock box looks like, and I'm very happy to be born in the world that I am today. But anyways, on top of that, we also use e-signatures, which is a complete game changer as far as real estate is concerned, because we can send our clients contracts, offers to be signed digitally within matters of seconds and minutes and get those back. That really helps us work smarter, not harder. It saves us a lot of time running back and forth between offices. It saves us a lot of paper, a lot of trees, and it really allows us to generate more business and spend more time doing the things that we love, which is helping people and helping people find their houses. So I really do applaud the Kanawha Valley Board of Realtors because they are always on top of the newest and the latest technological advances and making sure that our members are informed and educated on how to use these apps or whatever is coming about to our benefit.
I am Ann Boggs, the Executive Vice President at Kanawha Valley Board of Realtors. Innovators, protector of property rights, educators, community developers, job creators. Wearing multiple hats, as we still do today, Realtors have kept our economy thriving and improving. Why? That's who we are.